Hey guys, what's going on? In this video, I'm going to show you some updates I've done to my Hobbit edit. Quick notes though, my Titanic edit is finished and I'm going to be posting that soon. I mean, it might take like a week. It's just ridiculous. I have to export it again because there was an error and, I have to upload it then, and it's just hours of waiting and, having things progress. So it's not like I'm delaying and doing more work on it. I'm trying to get it up, but, it's not the end of the world. It'll be up eventually. Anyways, though, with the Hobbit edit, I'm going to go through part 1 here and then part 2. When I get to part 2, I have a bunch of cool things that I've actually added, whereas part 1 it's just a few tweaks, so make sure to stick around for the whole video if you're interested in it. I have on my website the update log, which has everything in full detail, if you just want to read that. But to start off with, I've redone the Goblin Sequence, so let's try to find this. So we go here, and then we get to the goblins. Basically, what happened in the original edit I had done was I wanted to remove a bunch of the footage of the Goblin King singing and dancing, and then with that I had to cut some of the song. But it turned out I had cut too much of the song, and so it didn't really work that well. It was kind of choppy and a little bit too fast-paced, or too quick, I guess. Just there wasn't enough of the song. So now with this version, I've only had to cut these few lyrics right here. So that's the first stanza part, but then 75% of the song is still here. As you can see, this bar is the song, so it flows much better. All I had to do was I have one transition at the start and one at the end, which eliminates the Goblin King dancing in a circle, tiptoe dancing. It just looks stupid. It eliminates him doing a fist pump, and some of the corny things that just don't really fit well. So yes, he's still singing in here, but I mean, it's not anything that's physically cringing to me, or making me cringe. Anyways, how it starts off is with this transition. I'll break it down quickly and then I'll play it. I'm not sure if it's better to play it and then break it down, but this is what I'll do. So I have a simple fade and a simple fade in with the music. It's placed evenly on beat at a good spot so that the song starts normally. I have footage of, so this is the normal footage of just him sitting there, and then I added, as soon as the song starts, we have a reaction shot of Thorin where he's like, what's going on? And then I also have this shot of them walking and some footsteps and goblin sounds added. And then we cut back, and then now we're back into the normal thing, or normal scene. So. Down in Goblin Town. So that's it. It's extremely simple. This also got rid of him standing on a bunch of goblins, and it was just gross. Not really something that needed to contribute to the story. We already get it. We already know the goblins are gross. We don't need to have him standing on goblins under his feet. Anyways, though, after that, we get to the end of the scene where it's playing out as normal, and then we switch to a reaction shot of them as they're all disappointed, what the heck are these guys? And then there we go. So now we're into this part, and we get to skip. Oh, catchy, isn't it? One of my own compositions. Just the dumbness. We skip through that and we progress with the movie. So I'm really happy with that. It keeps the changes that I wanted from the start, but it does it in a much better way. Next up, we have when we transition from the dwarves escaping to showing Gollum. This is a really tricky transition, and I've tried tweaking it. I can use the old method I had done in my edit if you've seen it, but I've tried this new method, and if this works better, I'll keep it, but I'm, back and forth. I'm not really sure what works well. So here's what I have come up with. The reason it's hard, though, is because the music ends, and there's no official soundtrack for this piece, so I have to figure out a way to fade it and then start this new audio without making it sound weird, so. So that's what I have, basically. I'll play it again. So there we go. Okay, anyways, though, the next transition I've tweaked is this one at the troll caves. Let's go back, and this will be the last thing that I've done with part 1. Oh, and also I want to address 2 feedback things quickly. Somebody told me to shorten the in the rain scene, talking about well, it's going to take forever to find it, but talking about Radagast, and they said I should cut it shorter because Radagast doesn't show up. I agree with you 100%, but it destroys the transition and flow to get rid of that part, because this transition is really good. Because, so basically the audio coming in has to go like this. Just fading in footsteps and stuff. And then the audio going out, we have soundtrack.
To others, he keeps a watchful eye over the vast forest lands to the east, and a good thing too.
And it's just perfect, because
look to find a foothold in this world.
It segues so perfectly, because he's talking about evil in this world as the camera focuses on this destroyed house, and then Gandalf is like, oh, a farmer used to live here. So it really works well as a transition. With, you know, the little downside is, okay, well, maybe he shouldn't be talking about Radagast so much, but you know what, it's okay. It's cool to get some extra lore. After all, this is the extended edition, I'm calling it. If this was a real movie, there would probably be a shorter version. That's why I like to keep mine called the extended one. So that's why we're up to almost 4 hours, similar to Lord of the Rings movies. Anyways, though, yeah, that's all of it, the stuff for part 1. So for part 2, I have some cool things. When the dwarves are heading up to Erebor, and I want to help sell the illusion that none of them are left behind, because obviously in the original movie they were, but in mine they aren't. I have now added a color-adjusted shot of, I want to say, Bofur, Gloin, Fili, and Kili. And it works well. So you see them hiking up past the clouds and the fog, then they're above it, then they're way above it, you can see, and then now we're progressing into the next area, and then we're at the next area now, here. So that's what it is, pretty much. Also, this is supposed to be showing the hiking over the course of a day, so each shot is, you know, its own progression, and it works well. If you look at like the background and the colors on the dirt, it matches up pretty well, just in general, like with this. So yeah, I'm happy with that. You know, anything to help sell the illusion. And of course, this has all the dwarves. It's a CGI, or not CGI, but a what's the word? I don't know, just digitally edited. So if I were to remove this layer, wait, whoops. Oh yeah, you can see some of them disappear. Anyways, though, enough of that. Let's get on to the first really cool thing, which is the orcs marching. So in the original edit I had done, the problem was that the orcs appeared out of nowhere, just like the book, yes, but it was a little bit confusing to the audience. Like, it just kind of came out of nowhere. So I have 2 scenes to help with this transition. So number 1, oh, by the way, I try to do some color correction here so that this matches with this scene. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect because by now the cloud or the sun's come out and everything, but here I've made it a little bit brighter, so I hope this works. But I'll have to see on the big screen what I think with that. But that's something that could change theoretically. Anyways, getting back on topic with the orc marching. I'll break down the scene first, as always, and how it works is we have this track with Bilbo in the scene, and it fades out. And then also, I should note though, this scene is placed in a good spot, so it's right after the huge, like, getting ready for war and battle compilation. They're getting ready, getting armor, getting weapons, and then we introduce that these orcs are coming, and then we go back, you know, more people getting ready, everybody's preparing for war. So it's placed in a really good spot, and I'll explain more about the flow after. But anyways, then I have the base layer of just marching sound effects, which is from the original scene, actually. See if I can do this. So there we go. That was perfect. The volumes fluctuate a little bit as we pan over and then as we cut close. And then I also have an additional layer of center channel audio because I have some expositional dialogue from Azog, and then I have soundtrack. So this is what it plays out like. One thing I'm not sure, is this too quiet in the center? Wait. Looks good. Okay, so there we go. That's all good. Then we have a nice transition into here, but we're not done yet. So remember earlier, Gandalf was frantically riding to you know, the Erebor and the Lonely Mountain area. We now pick up with him, so we can see he suddenly storms through, and we know he's urgent and he needs to share something that he has found, or you know, something's going on. So the audience can already put together that he's probably going to be referencing that these orcs are coming, and he's all confused at what's going on. And then we transition into here, which is a new scene, and I'll let this play out, I guess, and I'll talk after.
Grievances with the dwarves. War is coming. The cesspits of Dol Guldur have been emptied.
Actually, I do want to say though that I've trimmed down everything about making this like grand scheme Lord of the Rings. So this is as simple as warning about orcs. In the original movie, he was talking about their greater master and, you know, strategic advantage of taking over the mountain and all this other stuff. And there's obviously the Dol Guldur plot, but we don't know about that plot in this edit. So when you first hear this, you think Gandalf has gone crazy and you don't know what he's talking about. And the audience essentially is the same as these guys who are reacting what he's talking about. But then at the same time, we have seen that the orcs are coming over here, so we actually can relate to Gandalf and we can agree with him. And so, you know, it's sort of like he's trying to be the messenger, but nobody's listening to him, and that's essentially what this scene functions as. And with that, we're allowed to have a more natural transition into orcs showing up at the battle rather than them just coming out of nowhere. Now, this does deviate from the book, because in the book, Gandalf only hears about the orcs the same day from like a bird or something. I don't remember exactly. A raven, I think. I don't know. And so he knows about the orcs, and then they show up right away. But in this movie version, of course, it's going to, just for the flow of the story, he's going to know about them a day ahead of time. So that's just how it has to be.
You're all in mortal danger.
What are you talking about?
I can see you know nothing of wizards. They are like winter thunder on a wild wind, rolling in from a distance, breaking hard in alarm. But sometimes a storm is just a storm.
Not this time. Armies of orcs are on the move.
And then there we go. So basically, they're not listening to him, and that is the problem. And you know, that's all the scene really does. I have some soundtrack here to make the transition better. This audio plays the same.
Armies of orcs are on the move.
And then I fade it out, and then I have some background marching. I don't know if you can hear that. It's kind of quiet. But just to keep the atmosphere going so it doesn't go silent. And of course, we have the music helping that out, so it's not feeling silent. And we have a nice music transition. So I recently made this. So with my edits, I'm always going back and double checking things, and you know, so this could possibly slightly change, but what I came up with earlier today is this, and so I'm happy with that. I actually had an original version which was longer, but it just, you know, I had to cut it down to what we have now, or else it would seem too weird. You know, I didn't have enough shots of Gandalf inside here, because they soon walk outside of this tent and they start talking about other things, and it was really hard to get working, but I think I found a good balance. You know, none of these edits are easy. People might like to just say, oh, this doesn't flow well, but an immense amount of thought and restructuring goes into this to make things just passable. I mean, look at how complicated all the sound and crap goes with the mixing and everything, and trying to get scenes and shots right. It's a tough challenge, for sure. Now, next up, oh yeah, well, in conclusion though, this fixes orcs showing up out of nowhere and Gandalf disappearing for no reason. So those are two sort of questionable things about my original edit, and so now we know that Gandalf was doing something important in finding out about these orcs. And if you want to know more about that, then you'll have to read about the books, and of course you hear about the Dol Guldur side plot, but that is not for the Hobbit tale in this movie. Next up, let's see. We get to the final battle. This is largely the same. I also have another. This was in my old version, but just to point out, this is another redubbed subtitle similar to the marching scene, where we make it so that the Azog wants to take over the mountain. That's pretty much because we don't have the context of Gandalf talking about the strategic position. All we know is that the orcs just want to get the gold in the mountain, basically. So then they charge out. He gets knocked out, and so then we go into the music montage. So I have improved this a little bit. I originally had gone for something where you hear the battle and the music is quiet, and then we cut into a scene, and then the music gets louder and the sound stops. But people were confused at that. I thought that was a common thing, that with music montages, usually the sound is quieter. But regardless, I've reverted that. So we hear this battling with the quiet, well, not quiet, but the music is more just normal volume. And then I've restructured it to try to make it flow better. So we have fighting on the plains in front of Erebor. Then we cut to Thorin briefly hugging him, and they notice the importance of Azog controlling everything. We see him reacting. We see that that Azog is looking down, and we already are building a connection that these two are going to fight. And then we cut back to more fighting, and then Thorin is up. So originally it had this shot right here, and so and this was pushed back, and so it seemed kind of weird that we just cut from him looking at it, 10 seconds later, boom, he's there. So it gives it like 20-30 seconds in between, at least, from here to here. So it's still a difficult thing to smooth out, but it's better than before. And of course, the music is dominating, and we're in a music montage, so it's not going to be perfectly like time accurate. You know, it's not like a minute in this montage is not the same as a minute in just a normal scene, like where they're talking here. So okay, that's my little explanation on that. Anyways, though, I did add a quick shot of them walking across the ice here, so I added Thorin talking a little bit longer to them too, so it plays like this now.
Keep low and out of sight.
One thing though, I want to check, was okay, yeah, so I just felt like it got too quiet for this sound. Okay, well that's good. Good as it can get. And then I also added a sound effect to when Keely gets, the orc pulls the blade out of Keely's body right here, so. That works pretty well, just if you're curious, this is what it is. I restructured these scenes now, or shots, so we have Bolg reacting for a couple seconds, keeping the pace of the scene slow, and then a slow motion shot of Thorin, he looks tired and kind of out of it. He was fighting on the ice previously against some orcs, but now he notices Azog has stepped out onto the ice to finally fight him 1v1. Get a close face shot of him, and then the army is coming, and now this plays out the same, but then this is different. So now, instead of the eagle showing up right away and him walking, we have about a minute of fighting. So this establishes that the two are fighting, number one, and then number two, as we get into it, we start to see him slipping and falling and rolling away, and we know that he's kind of in danger. So then right when we think it's going to be over and one of them might die or whatever, the eagles show up. And then let's see. About a minute after that, then we're a time jump has occurred. So I'll go over this. I know this is the same as always, but I've tried to do a few things. So number one, we see some pretty grimy stuff going on of him destroying a ton of orcs. he's doing really well to fight. Same with the eagles. And he lunges at the camera, and then we get a couple seconds of just sound of the battle, and it slowly gets quieter until it kind of echoes into Bilbo waking up. So the audio, the video cutting off, the fade in from black, the peaceful music now, the quieter wind, all help to serve the purpose of telling that a time jump has occurred. And if it's confusing still, well then I don't know what to tell you. But we go to this shot, and it seems like Thorin is okay. He's walking off, and so okay, the audience will assume maybe he could just kill the orc off screen now, and everything is good. But then, and also we have Bilbo reacting now. So now we're back in the what's the word, like in the shoes of Bilbo, like we're supposed to be with this movie. But we had to go a little bit off track for the battle and with Thorin, because it is a movie and we can't just have everybody or somebody get knocked out and then skip an entire portion. And so yeah, we have this shot now where it reveals in the foreground that he is dead. He got stabbed, and so he won. Then he must have caught him off guard when the eagles showed up. I mean, you know, you can be creative. And in case you didn't notice that, I also added another shot of Azog dying. Now if you look closely, this is a little thing, you can see he has like his last breath here. So originally in this shot was when he got stabbed, and you know, it was his last breath and he died. And so we can just think that you know, he was clinging on for life here, barely able to breathe, and then boom, he's dead after his last breath. So I don't want to hear anybody trying to say that, oh, he's alive and breathing. I mean, there's nothing I can do really. I tried slow motion stuff and getting rid of it, but it's just not possible. It's such a small thing though, it shouldn't really matter at all. And the benefits of it are now that nobody's going to miss that he's dead, because sometimes people got confused about that if they weren't very attentive to detail, because you can see Azog dead here too and there. So now we have 3 instances showing he's dead, no confusion. Yeah. And just to preface again, this is a book edit, so that's the reason why I've gone this way, because you're not supposed to focus too much on Thorin, and we're trying to experience the story through Bilbo's eyes, and so that's why we don't see him actually die, because now it puts us in the perspective of Bilbo stumbling onto Thorin dying, and it just adds to the emotions of how it plays out in the book. And then, of course, it is a little bit of a fake out too, because you think he's fine, and then he collapses all of a sudden. And now he comes over to find him. You can see he's blooded up. You also get a quick shot showing that he's been stabbed. So now we know what's happened through editing and not just showing. Okay. And then I guess it plays out mostly the same. I did add an echo. I actually redid, an echo to Gandalf's eulogy. I did redo the entire sound mix. So we have our default 5.1 channels at the top. We have 3 mono sound effects, or 4 in this case. Yeah, footsteps there. In this case, Gandalf's eulogy, center channel. So this is what it sounds like normally.
The king has come.
And then I added an echo, which by itself sounds like. And I can adjust the volumes of this and find the right balance. I'll have to test it out on my speakers and stuff, but this is what it now sounds like.
The king has come unto his own, under mountain, under stone. Send him now unto the deep, unto earth, eternal sleep.
I think I might want to go for a little bit quieter. But you know, it is what it is. Let's see, why is this not letting me? Oh, okay.
Under mountain, under stone.
And then, of course, this is what the normal echo is, because normally Gandalf only says one thing, which is. So that's the echo of him saying that, and then this is the echo of what I've tried to do. And then it cuts there. So you can hear it's a little bit different. This one is much louder, but that's because Gandalf is now yelling out. So is Balin. whereas before he's just sort of talking.
Unto earth, eternal sleep.
So of course it's gonna be quieter. That's not like a mistake. That was intentional. And then yeah, that's a great addition. Oh, and I guess I also didn't finish, but yeah, I have the soundtrack now, audio tracks here, all set up so that they play in the proper channels. Oh, wait. Why is that there? That's not supposed to be there. And what is this? That is the soundtrack. Okay, that was my mistake. Wait, let's hear this again. Yeah, that is supposed to be at the bottom, I believe. And why is this disabled? There we go. Actually, no, I think that's good because I have 3 channels of ambience or whatever. Oh, my mistake, yeah. That's fine. But yeah, and then I have a couple channels of just like wind and trees and stuff that I need for redubbed scenes, and then at the very bottom is just the echo effect for any dialogue that I've had to redo, which is something I could utilize more because in this movie, essentially all the dialogue does have slight echo, but it's very quiet for most scenes, so it really didn't matter. But like, I'm trying to think of an example, I guess. With the intro, there's no echo on some of his voice, but it's okay. If that's something I want to change, I will do that. But that is going to be it for this video, I think. Yep, that's everything I've changed. There still might be a few more things to come. I guess actually I did add these footsteps because you'll notice if we mute this, pay attention to Bilbo's footsteps.
You're a very fine.
They go silent right about here, and I never noticed that, so I've gone ahead and redubbed them with this.
You're a very fine person.
I mean, it's pretty quiet, but actually if we listen to it just for fun. And it even, like, I just got lucky the way it worked. It sounds pretty perfect in my opinion. So yeah. This movie, by the way, was designed for 5.1 loud setup, not for quiet headphones, just so you know. But I think that's all there is to talk about. I am pretty proud of it. What I think I'm going to do now is for the digital version, instead of having this in the midway point, I'm just going to change it to say the story continues on part 2, because there's no disc. I think that's what I'll do, just to make it a little bit better. And yeah, I think if there's any more changes that you guys would like me to do, definitely comment down below. I know I have a feedback form which I have gone through, but I've implemented anything from it that I thought should be changed, but some of the things were either impossible or they were not really in line with what my edit is. This is a book edit, and so people that were suggesting things like the Moria flashback or the Warg attack before Rivendell, you know, none of that's gonna happen. So yeah, thanks for watching.